Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillahi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in wa ba'd. So this is lesson number 3 from the explanation of the Believer's Handbook for Qur'an Memorization. Inshallah, today we'll be still continuing on chapter 1. So here I said Allah elevates those that read the Qur'an, study the Qur'an, seek to understand it, and act on the Qur'an, while He abases those who turn their backs on the Qur'an. Allah mentioned those individuals that turn their backs on the revelation to go after the dunya and the life of this world. And here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَتَلُوا عَلَيْهِمْ نَبَأَ الَّذِي آتَيْنَاهُ آيَاتِنَا فَانْسَلَخَ مِنْهَا فأتبعه الشيطان فكان من الغاوين ولو شئنا لرفعناه بها ولكنه أخلد إلى الأرض واتبع هواه فمثله كمثل الكلب إن تحمل عليه يلهث أو تتركه يلهث ذلك مثل القوم الذين كذبوا بآياتنا فاقصص القصص لعلهم يتفكرون ساء مثلا القوم الذين كذبوا بآياتنا وأنفسهم كانوا يظلمون. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَاتْلُوا عَلَيْهِمْ. وَاتْلُوا عَلَيْهِمْ is a fi'l amr, is a command from the word tala, which means to recite. Tala yatlu. So recite to them naba. Naba is a khabar, which is information. Naba alladhi ataynahu. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is commanding the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam to recite to them the information that I've about the person. Because here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving this person his signs. Ataynahu ayatina. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving him the signs, giving him the truth, and giving him the guidance. فَانْسَلَخَ مِنْهَا. And he chose to to leave out of it. فَانْسَلَخَ, it means to leave out of something, to be in something and then to leave out of it. So فَانْسَلَخَ مِنْهَا, to leave out of it. فَأَتْبَعَهُ shaitan. And the shaitan, once he saw that the man had gone towards misguidance, Shaitan left after him and assisted him more in going more towards misguidance. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَوْ شِئْنَا, and if we had willed, لَرَفَعْنَاهُ بِهَا, that we would have raised them up with it. And once he had given him the truth, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had seen that good in his heart, if he had seen good in his heart, he would have raised them up. But this is what Allah wrote for him because of the state of his heart. He said, وَلَوْ شِئْنَا لَرَفَعْنَاهُ بِهَا وَلَكِنَّهُ أَخْلَدَ إِلَى الْأَرْضِ. But he chose to seek eternity on the earth. He chose to go after the life of this world, to all the riches and all the to follow his desires of the life of this world. And that's why he said وَاتَّبَعْ هَوَاهُ, that he followed his desires. So because of this, because of him leaving off the truth, going away from the guidance and going towards misguidance, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given him one of the strongest examples in the Qur'an. Because every person, and we have the example that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave to Bani Israel for the people who have knowledge but they don't act upon it. And he gave the example of a donkey, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Qur'an, مَثَلُ الَّذِينَ حُمِّلُوا تَوْرَاةَ ثُمَّ لَمْ يَحْمِلُوهَا. So for the people who were given the Torah, given this revelation and the truth and the guidance at that time, ثُمَّ لَمْ يَحْمِلُوهَا, but they didn't implement it, they didn't practice it, they didn't use it as legislation in their lives. Instead, they hid the knowledge and then they tried to change the legislation. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about them, كَمَثَلِ الْحِمَارِ يَحْمِلُ أَسْفَارًا. They're like donkeys who are just carrying books, because they're just carrying information, but they're not implementing it and they're not using it. So that was one example. And here you see the other example for another person who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given guidance, and he chose to leave out of this guidance. And he chose to follow his desires and to seek everlasting bliss on this earth, which will never happen. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him the example of a dog. So we see the two most despicable creatures, the dog and the donkey, where it's like, subhanAllah, that anybody who would be referred to as a donkey or a dog would feel insulted. And here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them this example because of the seriousness of what they've done. So here we see in this part where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, he said, فَمَثَلُهُ كَمَثَلِ الْكَلْبِ. And so for his example is the example of a dog. And تَحْمِلْ عَلَيْهِ يَلْهَث. تَحْمِلْ عَلَيْهِ is if you try to shoo him away, try to get him to go away. يَلْهَث. He just sit there and pant. He won't, he just sit there and pant. He won't do anything. He said, أَوْ تَتْرُكُهُ يَلْهَث. And if you leave him, and he'll just sit there and pant. whatever situation. And what this example means, and Allah knows best, is that these types of people who follow their desires, regardless of if you try to warn them or advise them, or even if you leave them, whatever you try to do, because they're so stuck to this earth, and because they're so stuck to following their desires, it's not going to change anything in their behavior. They're going to remain exactly the same whether you warn them or not. So this is, and Allah knows best, this is the meaning. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and He said, ذَلِكَ مَثَلُ الْقَوْمِ الَّذِينَ كَذَّبُوا بِآيَاتِنَا. This is the example of the people who have lied about our signs, who have rejected and denied our signs. Because كَذَّبُوا, it means that it's a lie, it's not true. To say that it's not true, and that's denial. That they denied the signs. They denied that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to raise the people up on the day of judgment. They denied that the messenger is the messenger of mankind. They denied all of these signs that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent. So, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَقْصُصِ الْقَصَصَ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. So, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded the messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam to narrate to them the stories of these people that happened before, so that they will ponder, they will think deeply about this. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, which for some reason I did not actually put the translation of this part of the ayat. Subhanallah. But He said, سَاءَ مَثَلًا الْقَوْمُ الَّذِينَ كَذَّبُوا بِآيَاتِنَا. What an evil example it is for a people who have denied and rejected our signs. وَأَنفُسَهُمْ كَانُوا يَظْلِمُونَ. And it was only themselves that they used to oppress. They only oppress themselves. They're not doing any harm to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I mean, and this came in a hadith, and Abi Dhar radiallahu anhu in Sahih Muslim, where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it's a long hadith, but in the specific part where the shahid is where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, well, it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying this. It's the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam narrating from Allah, because it's a hadith al-Qudsi. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Ya ibn Adam, innaka lan tablughu naf'i fatanfa'uni wa lan tablughu dharri fatadurruni. That you'll never reach the ability to bring any benefit to me. He said, O ibn Adam, O son of Adam. So this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaking to the people. O son of Adam, you'll never reach the ability to bring any type of benefit to me, nor will you ever reach the ability to bring any type of harm to me. We don't bring any harm or benefit to Allah. Our creation, our lack of thereof, it doesn't change anything in the dominion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could destroy us all today, right now, destroy us all, and nothing would change in His dominion. No harm will be brought to Him. The harm is only for us. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted, He could take everybody on the earth today and throw them in the hellfire, and He would not be oppressive, because all of us, and none of us are fully carrying out the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it's only through the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we enter into Jannah in the first place. It's only through His mercy. So sitting here with this ability to sit down and read the Qur'an, to ponder the Qur'an, to understand the Qur'an, to memorize the Qur'an, to implement the Qur'an is not a privilege. It's a blessing. It's it's not like something that we deserve, or should I say, not a privilege. I say it's not a right. It's a huge blessing. It's a ni'mah for us to be in this state where we live in, this world, and the state that this world is in. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us this blessing amongst all the people. This is a huge favor, a huge blessing. That's something that we need to be grateful for, which we never will be. I mean, we can never fully show Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gratitude for all the blessings that He's given us, but we try our best to carry out the commands that He's commanded us, and to stay away from, and we must stay away from the prohibitions, period. And the prohibitions are not attached to somebody's ability. You stay away from, we must stay away from them completely. So then I said, Allah clearly stated in this ayah that if He had willed, He would have elevated them in status with the revelation. This will be through Allah giving them the tawfiq to obey Him by carrying out His commands and refraining from His prohibitions. Allah sent down a true guidance to mankind to bring them out of the darkness into the light, and bring them out of a state of immorality to a state of morality. Allah said in the Qur'an, إِنَّ هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ يَهْدِي لِلَّتِي هِيَ أَقْوَمُ وَيُبَشِّرُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ الَّذِينَ يَعْمَلُونَ الصَّالِحَاتِ أَنَّ لَهُمْ أَجْرًا كَبِيرًا. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and verily that this Qur'an, yahdi, that it guides to that which is what? Aqwam, which is the most upright, the best behavior, the best character, the best morality, the best of all things. And this earth, this Qur'an, this book guides the people to that. And anybody that goes against this book and follows the path of shaitan, or follows the path of the people who follow shaitan, or follows his own desires, is only going to lead him to the complete opposite. Everything that's going to bring him is disgrace. Everything that's going to debase him. Everything that's going to make him from the people of sadness and regret and grief and in this life and on the day of judgment. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Inna hadha al-Qur'an yahdi lillati hiya aqwam. So the best of all behavior, the best of everything that this Qur'an guides to. وَيُبَشِّرُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ, and it gives glad tidings to the believers that follow this Qur'an, that implement this Qur'an, that learn this Qur'an, that memorize this Qur'an, that act upon it, that call the people to it. These are the mu'mineen. الَّذِينَ يَعْمَلُونَ الصَّالِحَاتِ, the ones who do righteous actions. أَنَّ لَهُمْ أَجْرًا كَبِيرًا, that they have a huge reward, a great reward, a mighty reward with their Lord on the day of judgment. Yeah, so the Quran guides the people to the best behavior, the best manners, the best character, and the best morals. However, this is through reading, memorizing, understanding, and implementing. Also in the previous ayah from Surah Al-A'raf, Allah compared the people that turn away from the revelation to dogs. Allah gave the example of a dog panting regardless of his chasing him away or leaving him alone. This ayat means that if you bring them the ayats, warning them of the punishment, or if you just leave them alone, they will not listen nor change their behavior. Basically, the Quran benefits those individuals nothing. Allah also mentioned that the reason for their turning away from the revelation was due to their infatuation with the life of this world and their forgetting the next life. This happens when a person begins neglecting his responsibilities to Allah while focusing all his attention on what he deems are his responsibilities to the creation. He will strive to fulfill the rights people have over him and work to please the people with the hope of getting some worldly benefit for doing so, while simultaneously ignoring the rights Allah has over him and showing no concern for those rights. And that is the most important thing. The most important thing is that we focus on first and foremost the right that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has over us. And this, of course, came in the hadith of Mu'adh radiallahu anhu, in which he said, Kuntu khalfa an-Nabiy sallallahu alayhi wa sallam yawman ala himar, in one narration he named the himar Ufayr. He said, فَقَالَ يَا مُعَاذ أَتَدْرِي مَا حَقُّ اللَّهِ عَلَى الْعِبَادِ وَمَا حَقُّ الْعِبَادِ عَلَى اللَّهِ. So the Prophet ﷺ told him, he asked him, he said, do you know the right that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has over his servants and the right that the servants have with Allah if they carry out that right, the right of Allah first? And Mu'adh said, Allah wa rasuluhu a'lam. Mu'adh said, Allah and his messenger know best. And then the Prophet ﷺ said, he said, حَقُّ اللَّهِ عَلَى الْعِبَادِ أَن يَعْبُدُوهُ وَلَا يُشْرِكُوا بِهِ شَيْئًا. وَحَقَّ الْعِبَادِ عَلَى اللَّهِ أَن لَا يُعَذِّبَ مَن لَا يُشْرِكُ بِهِ شَيْئًا. So then he said, the Prophet ﷺ said to Mu'adh, he said that the right that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has over his servants, that they worship him, and they don't associate anything in worship with him, and they don't associate any partners in worship with him. And the right that the servants have with Allah if they do this, and this is a right that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made on himself, because we're servants, we're slaves of Allah. We don't have the ability to make rights or have any rights. We don't have any rights. So the only rights that we do have are rights that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made up on himself. Not that we made them or that we deserve anything, because we don't deserve anything. We're deserving of nothing. Everything that we have, the guidance we have, the ability to carry out the commands and our desire to stay away from the prohibitions is all given to us by Allah. By Allah, it's all a blessing from Allah. So what rights do we have as human beings? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. We have no rights. So the right here is a right that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made incumbent upon himself, not that we have any rights, actual rights. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, here the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give what? Will forgive. He said, and la yu'adhab, that he won't punish the servant who doesn't associate anything in worship with him. So the servant who fulfills this obligation, fulfills this right, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not punish him. And then Mu'adh said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, أَفَلَا أُبَشِّرُ النَّاسِ, should I not give glad tidings to the people? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, لَا تُبَشِّرْهُمْ فَيَتَّكِلُوا. And he said, don't give them glad tidings of this, because I'm afraid that they might rely on this information, rely on the mercy of Allah, and stop doing all the righteous good actions that they're doing. And then Mu'adh, he didn't mention this hadith to the people until he was on his deathbed. And this came in a different narration where, he said, حدث به Mu'adh and حضور موته, I believe. He said, ta'athuman. Ta'athuman, it means like farran min al-ithm. That he narrated this hadith to the people on his deathbed to escape from the sin of covering up and hiding knowledge, because he was the only one that heard this hadith from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he didn't give the information to the people because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his lifetime said, don't tell them because I'm afraid that they'll leave off good actions. So these are the rights that we need to be focused on, not the rights of humans, another human to us. First and foremost comes that right that we had, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has over us, that we fulfill his obligations first, and then we deal with the obligations of the people. So Allahumma musta'an. But the people are so backwards nowadays that they do the complete opposite. They are focused only on human rights and animal rights and all these other rights, and they'll get angry. They'll get so angry when all this stuff comes on social media, but they never get angry when they see a person bowing down to a statue, making sujood at a grave, or going and making dua to a person in the grave. This never angers them. It never angers them when the people transgress against the right that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has over us. But when somebody hits a dog, or somebody throws a rock at a bird, they'll get on social media and they'll cry and cry and cry about it, but they'll never ever. And I'm talking about the Muslims. I'm not even talking about the kuffar, because the kuffar right now are not even my concern. My concern is my brothers and sisters being duped by this type of behavior. But in the majority, you're gonna see the vast majority, 90+% of the Muslims will not get angry when somebody commits an act of shirk. Will not get angry. They'll sit there and sing kumbaya with grave worshippers. They'll sit there and hold hands with people who practice witchcraft and do all types of all these atrocities. And they're no concern, but let the rights of a human being or an animal or something get trampled upon, and watch them get on social media and cry. Wallahi, if our Muslim brothers and sisters would give as much energy as they do to the cause of Palestine, to the cause of Tawheed, wallahi, we'd be the most successful people on the face of this earth right now. We would control this dunya. But see, the thing is because the issue of Palestine, and although it's a very, very rough situation, our brothers and sisters are getting killed and run out of their homes. So it's a bad situation. But even worse than that is the situation that who's doing it? The same people that are committing shirk, the same people, and look at it. But there's no energy for that. The energy is for what? Oh, these people are getting killed, and these people are getting abused, and it's true. It's an unbelievable oppression of this time. But what's the biggest and greatest oppression that everybody remains quiet about? Everybody remains quiet about. And you see these go around to these Islamic centers, and they're inviting kuffar and atheists and mushriks and all these people into the masjid to have a discussion and to share brotherhood. But look at this. And look at our state now. And look at the situation that we're in. Wallahi, if they give as much attention to Tawheed and much hatred about and anger when the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are trampled upon, transgressed against, then wallahi will be the most successful people on this earth. Nobody will be able to defeat us. But because we've gone away from Tawheed and we're more concerned about the people, that's why now we have boots on our necks right now. Allahumma musta'an. May Allah guide us. May Allah guide us. Allahumma musta'an. Allahumma musta'an. Another benefit from memorizing the Qur'an is the mercy which one will receive for doing so. Allah mentioned in the Qur'an, وَإِذَا قُرِيَ الْقُرْآنُ فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ وَأَنصِتُوا لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Qur'an, وَإِذَا قُرِيَ Quriya is from qara'a, which is the sigha al-mabni. It's not mabni lil-majhul because we know who's saying it. We know who's going to be reciting it. Well, we don't, because I guess in this case it would be mabni lil-majhul because we don't know who's going to recite it. But it means if the Qur'an is recited. So إِذَا قُرِيَ الْقُرْآنُ فَاسْتَمِعُوا. Fastami'u, it means to remain completely silent and focus on what's being said. That you ignore all distractions and everything, and you focus and you stay completely silent. That means silence not just in your tongue, but silence in your tongue, with your tongue, silence in your thoughts. That you don't even allow thoughts, the only thing that's going on with you right now is focusing on what is being said from the Qur'an. So he said, فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ وَأَنصِتُوا. وَأَنصِتُوا is stronger than insult is everything. You cut off everything, even the thoughts in your mind. لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ. And if you do this, if you focus on this, then the benefit that you get is you get the mercy. You get the mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the benefit of paying attention to the Qur'an, of focusing on it and doing tadabbur and trying to get because every time that we read the Qur'an or listen to the Qur'an, where these are the guidelines of how we should live our lives, the lessons that we should have for us as believers, so we can be better Muslims. And then this is what we should be trying to get. We should be trying to learn. And this is what brings the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The tawheed, the righteous actions, the following the Quran and the Sunnah, the way that the Salaf followed the righteous Salaf. And then this is how we get the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he said in this ayah, Allah mentioned that mercy will be shown to the person who listens attentively while remaining silent during the recitation of the Quran and the Salat. So what about the person who reads, memorizes, studies, and implements the Quran in his daily life? The Quran is a mercy. And the person that busies himself with the Quran will receive mercy, insha'Allah. So inshallah, we're going to stop here. The next part, it goes into a hadith. And right now, we don't have time for that. So inshallah, we'll save this hadith, inshallah, for the next lesson. وَإِلَهُنَا سُبْحَانَكَ اللَّهُمَّ وَبِحَمْدِكَ أَشْهَدُ أَن لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا أَنْتَ أَسْتَغْفِرُكَ وَأَتُوبُ إِلَيْكَ.